to Poets Corner on this rather chilly evening in Nashville. A special welcome to all of you that are viewing this on Facebook. We're happy this evening to have Georganne Harmon with us. She's a teacher, a poet, a workshop facilitator, and interestingly enough, she says she writes to untangle things. That's a good reason. And it helps to soothe the mind and the thoughts. Georganne, we're looking forward to your reading this evening. A special welcome to you.
Thank you. For many winter days and getting out of the lockdown of the house and seeing some wonderful faces and knowing that I have some good supporters out there in the ether. And thank you so much, all of you who have tuned in one way or another. Well, the title of the little collection that I have here is The Lengthening of Days. And so what that has to do with is the season of Lent, which I believe begins February the 17th. I'm a keeper of the season of Lent. And what that means is that it's my religious tradition. So these are the 40 days leading up to Easter, and when I was a child, I gave up the very, very serious sin of chocolate. But now, I find this season a real gift. It's grayness, it's quiet, it's solitude. And so my practice for years has been to kind of dive into Lent and to be still and to give something else up, and that would be the clatter and noise of life. I don't succeed every day, but I do some preparation for it, and what I have given is a little slice of time to write a prayer each day, and now and then that prayer might slip into a poem. And so that's where these came from. I may slip in some other things in between. Just put that there. To lighten the load, because it is a gray season, and these are some postcard poems which are just a whole lot of fun and light stuff, and so I may slip one of those in now and then. Night into Lent. I would not know how to leave my father with the rest of the fishing, to follow, say, a charismatic rebel with the shine of truth about him. Yet how fast this life zooms by, how thin it is, held hovering and shivering on the edge of its little plain, all the silent gulf, a beggar waiting for the slightest tilt. James and John just up and left old Zebedee bent over his boat. The night's black energies tumble the slick locks of a mind that zigzags out of rhythm and will not find its comfort. So many prayers unsaid, watches unkept, words elbowing their way. Tomorrow, or today, when scratchy trees take form again, 40 days of fast define a dawn. I always see these quiet days as gifts, like arms that catch a racer at the course's end, and I think about this smallish word, that fast is hunger, or fast means held close, fist tight, and fast can be like battened, stilled, and locked, or fast is gone in a minute, speedy, maybe daring. The word looks two ways, so many do. They offer wealth or void, depending on the way the mind sways. I am jealous to possess color, flowering plum in the neighbor's yard, and sound every note of child screech and laugh, sparrow fuss and scent of perfume, of grass, of new book, of skin. I want cookpots and tears and cling fast to them for fear of losing all the world. And yet, how clean it feels to go in hunger of. Oh, I'm mending nets always. The night stretches on diseased. Here's a prayer to say, release, loosen the fast grip that makes me fear my heart's careening. Let it surge and crest and ebb through its prescribed hours unwatched, then huff to a stop here on my wrinkled bed if it must. Here's the prayer. That Easter morning rises clear, night's fleshy language unsnarled, hunger for the spare, heroic path assuaged in a lean line to a true word, a net left stretched on the dock in early sun. The meal. Which supper is the last? What bread and what wine? Come to the one lit with small flames where our reflections circle against the night. Taste a savory feast in many dishes, stirred with a pungent taste of the garden herbs. Listen for the ritual bell of glass on glass, and voices choired rise and fall, an answer and counterpoint, dissonance and harmony, a weaving away and to. Pass the bread, the veal, the day, with its politic and grit. Pass the rivers of travel and the art. Doubt and terminus, chant and response, salad, cheese, and tumbling babble. Offer again a taste of red, a gift, a restless peace. Go away fed and hungry. Here is the last and the first. And Mary Magdalene goes shopping. She pulls her car into a too narrow space at a careless angle, dusk fully fallen, and lets the door's weight pull it closed behind her, a yearning groan before it snaps. With half a heart, she moves through the gray toward the half-promise of the mall entry. Arches stretch taller than a giant's reach above the doors themselves only human size, ordinary, rendered grand, opening without touch or pressure, work or will of any kind, and already the slow seep of sinking recognition. Déjà, déjà. Colors beckon and homogenize into swirls of glaring objects, skirts blending into handbags and hats, glass counters that reflect her disassembled face. Her eyes blind, and all she wants is a clear glass of water. Bright dulls into drab, nauseates like sweets on a sick tray. She leaves, restive, unsated, no package under her arm, no lucky find, nothing even to astonish her. What would astonish now? So far along this road, so much chosen, paid for? She considers cool water, a small, quiet talk, one something she could not have imagined, a vision altogether new. Lent, the lengthening of days. The lengthening of days invites the lengthening of afternoon walks, and Lily and I set forth, Lily was a little black dog, into the heart of an embryo, aching with the urge to be born. Buds nearly move under my eyes, full, eager on the bony tulip tree, green blush on grass, jonquil leaves like soldiers in a line, waiting for a definitive order. A few have broken ranks, fired their yellow shots into the silence of waking. Surprise upon surprise, heady forsythia, bold plum, you can't hold them back forever. We'll have to start rejoicing now, a month before the all clear, before the war has ended. So I'm sort of break this mood for just a minute and read a postcard. So I have this little collection of postcards building, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them, but I have some ideas. And this is called Just to Say. Now, imagine a train station. Just to say. I saw you take your seat before the train arranged its linkings on the track, spewed and shouted, moved like thunder cracking. Across the aisle where our eyes would not meet to answer my last query. I believed I'd soon grow teary as the dark beast lumbered on, but found that I too have a freshened view and see that I am as relieved as you. I think I'll do another one. That was kind of fun. So from Bergamo, Italia. This morning in the shower, I thought of you, your proclamations, imaginations of our love as epic and grand amour. I remember it supplied a hackneyed store of words as epics do, drew heat, and fell upon us like the only truth in our fogged infatuation. Then, deep into years, we found that it was but a myth dangling in the grid of every day, wanting proof. And we were continents apart, hanging on. The shower, too, today grew cold, shriveling, humiliating, and at last unbearable. Warm turned to cold, steam dissipating drop by drop the way you left, became a muddled, fading image in the glass, and bit by bit turned to my own reflection. I stepped out, wrapped the deep-woven towel of now around me, and all the years since then surrounded me, yet not quite washed of tingling for that momentary youth. Dusk Prayer. As dusk, I'll stop to say that this is about my mother. This is an observation of my mother shortly after my father's passing. As dusk weaves its way around cozy door frames and cars parked near porches have shut down their red lights, as a wok sizzles farm vegetables and the table is set, I think of you. I should have thought of all my peopled life, you standing alone in front of the refrigerator, you wandering a street where no one knows your name, you shopping because you can pretend in bright places to be with and not without. Loneliness strikes at this hour, at the gathering. Ice clinks in a glass where two recount their day. Those who fidget or stroll, rummaging for the joy of solitude, can hear these sounds in the valley of the past. I wish you these misty reminders, piggybacking on the shoulders of dusk as it thins into night. Without them remains only the drizzling chill of this evening. I embrace you, rub down your arms with my blanket, cradle you back to the first memory, to sing the empty thing you daily swallow. Now a little collection of short pieces. Gray Day Prayer, evening. This prayer comes to cheer for the days made of black sticks against a sky expressionless, unblinking. Such days enfold me into Lent. Compose thoughts in prayer, undivided by the noise of 10 colors, the curve of clouds billowed, a wood thrush's throaty invitation. Who am I to fall into such love unprepared? Relish the flat season, to think on it. Fast. A party and the conversation of friends break my fast early, and I concede to sacrifice for human sake. The letter O. O. I pray for the circle of heart, that I attend to what enters it with the spiral of eye and the full round of mind and the well of ear, and that my lips form O's, always of discovery. 2 poems of gratitude. I see now that I have come to winter and know that I must bear beauty in my bones like the bare birches and in the surprises that stark and cold and shades of gray interest the day with. Sometimes the snow, a wealth of sparkle. I am grateful for the gifts of strength and grace, endurance and will, wild woods calling up from the ridge. Come up, come up. This one from Sewanee. Blind. The early sun concentrated all its silver power on one wet leaf. There beyond the close trees, one of thousands on the bluff, all crowded like crows, this one, however, distinct as lightning. When it struck, its wounding turned sight around to where sleep lingers and calls and calls. Just a blink, a shrug, and I came back to the hawk's shadow winging over the gulf. Like a photograph rising from a tray, colorless dawn rose by shades to the pierced blues and late greens of this September morning. Already I discerned brush of bronze, perfume of burnt on the air. Already the day flying away. Morning. Bright cold, blue and gold cold, tough sparkles on the gray grass. I am moved to praise courage, stretched toward sun, young necked and naked, all those graves at its feet. After the hike. A deer trail through winter woods of thorn and tree limb, slippery rock fall, journeyed us, the black dog and me, to a height where cloudless sky lay on a blue snake of river, and something hummed beneath our feet, wild rue, insects rising. After the flu. Illness like storm of snow or flood damns us into the 4 walls of ourselves, to be minute by minute present to our own reflection, and so gives rest and suspension while time yawns. Tonight the fields dried, and I emerged out of the walls to find crocus busy unfolding. Words at play, a pale moon shining. As if the earth. Spring in the sun, winter in the wind, we are bundled like full wombs poisoned on the edge of seasons. Each day in our exchanges, we speak of unseasonal cold or warmth and our faces betray our need for sure answers. As if the earth will not tilt at the appointed time, as if the one certain lullaby of light will not rock us on the sea as we're accustomed. We toss sleep-hungry and tangled in roiling waters this equinox with no view past the next wave. Day crests and sighs like night, crying through the daily air a rage of wars we can't reason out, of religions blood certain, of land ravaged and betrayed in a din and clamor, holds all this dissonance aloft, and our hearts unswaddled. What is a pear blossom, and how can it prevail in so deep a storm? We fear the planet can't turn against it, can't proceed, as if its driver were confused like us. Oh, I know. The wool coat will again hang formless in the hall. The child will roll from the womb, new in the cradle we have made. We'll bear up this old world's history, spring to fall. Weavers. I am whispered to pray for the weavers of the world, who, though they must work small and close to, have always a pattern in their higher mind, and build it step by painstaking step. Upraise them and remember. Journey with you. Through the journey of your death, I learned the terrible soundings of love. A new place was made in me, and nothing weightable now will satisfy. Well, did you ever think you'd hear a poem called HVAC Noises? The houses on my street, their eyes still tight and dark, breathe by turns, sighs in and out since the deep of night, as though to keep the neighborhood's lungs full, veins red. For the calling and rising that must begin at waking, we are all of us on ventilators, keeping, waking, running us. Clouds puff along the morning skies. The shagbark, hickory, trembles, sways. I'm grateful for the gifts of wild woods calling up the ridge. Come up, come up. The black dog, her nose in damp leaves, finds the sprouted jonquils and rolls, squashing their milky leaves, splaying them on wet grass. Easter. Delicious, the buttercups in a chill rain. 3 sturdy robins, a puddle shining clean from last night's rash storm, and I had just prayed for the gray to lift. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, I thought, on a dare, and they lifted off. Bathed and silver-winged, in new light sustained, like me. Rising. I practice cryogenics in my kitchen, the yeast in its cold package, resurrecting in the pocked mud colonies and miraculous loaves to cradle the thawing fishes. That was a tongue twister, that poem. The baking miracle of rising and rising again, this willful expanding into lightness and space, only dreamed in the heart, in a lump of dough. The metaphors of the whole Lenten season are just irresistible. And they keep cycling, and there we go. So I'm going to read a postcard or two here. Did I mention how kind and light I grew when I turned this morning to the atrium, where the red and tin table waits always beside the lavender, and water bubbles from a pipe into the pond, where a hummingbird, its red throat throbbing at the window, fed. Yet you were gone. Come and see, I beg you to. This one's Par Avion. This is a true story. So the person named here was a boyfriend back home. Dear Byron, my dear, still having fun and studying French things here? Last night a parade, the band that marched loud and shrill for some fete and stirred a well of joy like a green drink fizzed, and I stepped in, joined them, marched my solo self, some free verse in mind, without, of course, an instrument. You've said I have no ear, can't keep time, but without fear, just you'll love this. A brand new something rising with its boom boom earth deep voice. Me singing so loud I seemed in tune. See me, see me. And the tuba player, why, he, don't look, gusted me forward with that huge breath, like a wild storm twisting me high. And sorry, but I stopped to kiss him when he released his lips, and shiny it was, there left on the ground, the tuba insisting, and shiny what I'd found. Something today about soup. The weather for it. I had not recognized when I sat down to eat that the good of soup, besides its ease, is heat. Its steaming on the whole caresses, warms, tucks into winter noon a swoon of nurture virtuously savored, and allows me then to stoop to have a chocolate or a piece of cake, so favored over soup. And the last poem for Lent is March Wake. Winter gave us rest from this blasting of color, this blinding green that melds us so tight to earth, this shout of forsythia in sun-toned vowels, this eye-splitting white pear bloom on high-pressure blue, this unabashed fat robin song, this rondel trilling with light. It makes me go out, like a parachute blossom, a laurel disturbed. My dog rolls in the grass to scratch her winter-dry back, me speaking to neighbors leashed to retrievers, scurrying to keep up as they pull to this refreshing. I remember one winter dream years ago. I was wounded and got no help, and at last agreed to sleep, to sleep, to sleep. I woke screaming to life, life like this morning, to the taste of salt and the rummage of all the seasons. So much growing, it overtires sometimes. Rest waits around the unseen edge of next month or next year. For my mother, winter came one year in spring. She saw the crocus sprout. The doves came to roost in her ferns. Gathered naked hawthorn to force to early bloom, and then embraced a deep, deep longing for a deeper sleep. Her room, her world stopped blooming, grew stark with all the baggage of leaving. Today I think she smiles at me, my head swimming with color, and these thoughts of waking and sleeping. And maybe in this early sigh of wind she breathes, "Oh, dreaming girl, wait until you see this waking, this spring. It will razzle-dazzle you, little dicot." Thank you so much for coming, for attending, for hearing, for seeing. You are all my friends and cheerleaders, and I I love sharing my poems with you, so thank you very much. And thank you, Joyce, and Donna, and Michael.